better half, Mike. Mike, so again, we appreciate everybody being here. We've got the Shane Twins, we've got Mike, and we've got Elliot the Magician, and most of all, we've got you. And thank you for being here. Oh, just by the way, don't tell anybody. It's Gerald Briscoe's 79th birthday today. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh, 88. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So I'm sure Gerald's going to have a few extra things today.
You're drinking Coke, right, Mel?
Bob Cook. You know, without Bob Cook, this whole thing wouldn't happen. He's just on the making sure everything's right. Alex Porto, God bless him. I don't think Alex is here. He does the posters that you see. We saw those beautiful, handsome faces on there. Great job. And just want to thank Bob. He's out of town. And we got Joe here, and that's kind of it is. So, who else is there? Ricky said, listen, Joey, they know, we've got the saint, the mass, the God's mass. Painter's satisfied. We have from the live shop. We got the Reyes twins. They're supposed to be father and son of the twins. And we got a host of others. They're wandering all over here. So,
sorry, dear.
In the Caribbean and Mexico for over 40 years. So I look at it like he's one of the boys. He's been around that long. Oh, we got a little echo here. So he's a member of the International Brotherhood of Magicians and a distinguished.
Yeah, okay. So Daddy, you and I are going to teach everybody here how to do a rope trick.
Get off his knees.
I
was just going to say.
Okay? Deal? Now there's two things you need to make a Mongolian pop knot. We need a pair of scissors, and we need some rope. Alright? Now you don't need rope, you can use wool or yarn or thread. So I need you to hold on to the scissors. Alright. Now, Danny, you have to make sure you watch very, very carefully because you see, if you don't pay attention when you go out there, I'm going to ask you how it's done. You have to make sure you don't miss anything, okay? Alright. So to make sure that Danny doesn't miss anything, I need you to turn around like this. Yes. Because for you, I have a very special pair of magic glasses. Very good. Now you're going to see stuff you're not going to see, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to see it anyway. Good. All right. So here's how you make a Mongolian pop knot. What you do is take a long piece of rope and you hold it in between your thumb and fingers like this. See? Good. All right. Now what you do, you bring both the ends together and you hold it between the thumb and fingers of one hand like that. See? Good. All right. Now, Danny, what I do all the way down to the other end, we get this round thing there. Starts with an L, ends in a P, and there's an O in the middle. It's called a. Starts with an L, ends in a P, and there's an O in the middle. Yes, Luke, very good. All right, now, Danny, what I want you to do is cut the loop right there. Cut the loop right there. Yeah. Cut the loop. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Let's have a hand for Danny. Yes. All right. I'll take the scissors back to the order to me. Good. All right. All right. So you have a piece on the left and a piece on the right. Take a one on the left and one on the right. Bring it through the middle and make a knot. Just like that. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a knot out here just like this.
step here.
Well, I don't know about that. But a couple announcements before we start our honorary process. How many people know about the College Fall Island Club, the 56th reunion? Yeah, I know David does. He's all ready to go. Okay. All you gotta do is join the CAC. It's $25, and that's getting ready to go up, so you're gonna do that quickly. And with your membership, half of that goes to support the boys that play on bad financial times, and the other half goes to send you your newsletters throughout the year. Everything that's one of those. And we've got an awesome lineup, and a new hotel in Vegas will be downtown at the Plaza Hotel and Casino. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We have room nights for $39. Reunion ticket is only $150 for the whole event. So far we've got tag team armies, we've got Rocket Express, we've got, let's see, men's wrestling award for Tommy Wildfire Rich and Kevin Sullivan. We have the Lucha Libre Award for Conan, the Referee Award for Ben Silverman. And we've got a ton more to announce coming up, so it's going to be a great time. We say happy birthday, especially to one of the founders of Watchers Lunch, Gerald Briscoe. So if you guys are ready, get your mugs up, your jugs up, whatever you like to have up, and let's sing Gerald Briscoe a happy birthday. You ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gerald. Happy birthday to you. All right. Thank you. Nothing really, nothing good, just a happy birthday to you, Gerald. All right,
I have to follow Elliott Smith, and if that's, I thought it was going to be hard enough having Ron speak after me. Everybody that knows Ron knows that. He doesn't hold back, pretty quick-witted, and he's always entertaining, so I'll try to make it short so he can go up and talk about himself. And we also have a picture of Ron introducing Mike and Tosh Shane, the Shane Twins. I'll start with the stuff that most of you don't know about Ron. Ron, 31 years, Ron Niemi, the hardcore giant's been in the wrestling business. I don't think that I've ever met anybody that loves the wrestling business as much as Ron does. And speaking to a group of peers, and such as you guys, that's a pretty bold statement. In addition to being such a huge wrestling fan, Ron's also a proud Michigander. Is that the proper term, Ron, where you use Michigander? And I think the only thing that he made a lot more than pro wrestling is being from the state of Michigan, as you can see by his Wolverines t-shirt over there. Ron's known for a lot of things. Started here in the wrestling business in 1991 and broke in at the Sportatorium and also at the Malenko School of Wrestling. I know a lot of you are proud graduates of the Malenko School of Wrestling in Malenko Way. Ron also broke in with the likes of Buck Quartermain, classic Chris Nelson, and the late Navy SEAL. And many of you guys are familiar with Ron for his managerial work, but also for the outstanding job that he did promoting IPW Hardcore Wrestling, which is the main independent promotion here in the Tampa area from approximately the late 90s until the mid 2000s. In addition to promoting those live events, Ron also had all his fingerprints for his success on UPN 44 with IPW Hardcore TV, which a lot of us in the room got a chance to be on and get exposure to and a chance to get to a national level. Guys such as Buck Quartermain, the Cuban Assassin, the Southern Posse, Rick Thames, the Shane Brothers, Jet Jaguar, Honest Eddie, and a guy who's making a lot of traction here in the commentary world, Lenny Leonard over there, was standing there with me during these IPW Hardcore shows. And that's how I got my start in the wrestling business too. When I first got started in the wrestling business, I started as a fan, which I've talked about ad nauseum several times. But I started going to independent wrestling. My first independent wrestling shows were at IPW Hardcore Wrestling, and I was sitting there as a fan, and nobody made me more angry as a 17-year-old kid than the hardcore giant Ron Niemi did. Ron, you couldn't mistake Ron. You always knew where it was. You heard him, you recognized him from far away, whether it's his sweater vest, his tacky shorts, that briefcase, which we still don't know what's in that briefcase. And Ron just helped facilitate violence and completely transformed the old school wrestling of Florida into a more violent form of wrestling here in the state of Florida, in addition to maintaining the old school stuff that we were doing already. In addition to being a manager, Ron is, like I said, being a successful promoter, and has contrasted all the way into the commentary world. I love Ron, he's a close friend of mine. Ron, in addition to all those things, being in the wrestling business, he's a family man. He's been married to the same woman for almost 30 years. Terry, who's a fantastic person and a saint for staying with this guy, because he's an absolute terror when he wants to be. Ron's got 3 beautiful children, Ronnie, Mackenzie, and Hunter, all that he's very proud of and that he talks about daily. Ron, again, I'm probably more excited than anybody else. This is a long-deserved honor, and I know it means the world to Ron to stand up here and talk to you guys today. So if you guys could please help me and give a warm round of applause to the hardcore giant, Ron Niemi.
I don't normally get nervous, but this is pretty overwhelming. Being in the same room and on the mic when you've got a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion here celebrating his birthday. You got Dan Spivey as big as, Skyscraper, was that an appropriate name for him in the tag team with Sid or not? I can't believe how big and badass Dan still looks up here. You know, when I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I'd like to say I've always dreamt of becoming somebody in the professional wrestling business, but growing up there in the middle of nowhere, 10 hours north of Detroit, I never thought that would even be a possibility, so I was just happy to be a fan. From the first time that I saw Nick Bockwinkel, in I think it was 1982, I found it. I was staying at my grandma and grandpa's house, and I turned on, just flipping through the channels, and there was something I had never seen before. I've never seen anything like it at that point. And it was professional wrestling. And it was Nick Bockwinkel, who to this day is my idea of what a world champion should present themselves like. And then packaged with the greatest manager of all time, Bobby the Brain Heenan. I was hooked from that very moment. Then I got to see the likes of Mad Dog, Vachon, Baron Von Raschke, the Crusher, the High Flyers. That was it. I didn't think there was a world outside the AWA though, until we all of a sudden got cable TV. And Joe Blanchard's Southwest Championship Wrestling out of Texas was actually carried on USA before the WWF, and I got to see the likes of Cowboy Scott Casey, who's attended some of these events in the past, and Bruiser Bob Sweetan, the Sheep Herders, and it was bloody, and it was violent, and it was controversial, and it was exciting, and now I was really hooked. But again, I always just figured I'd be lucky to follow it on TV, and then I joined the Air Force. And after basic training, they gave me my orders, and it was to MacDill Air Force Base right here in Tampa, Florida. At that very moment, I said, I'm getting in the wrestling business, one way or the other. I don't care what I have to do. And I got here, and the sergeant that picked me up at the airport, I told him, I want to go to 106 North Albany. And he said, Airman, listen, we take you to the base, you're going to meet your supervisors, you're going to meet the first. No, I said, I want to go to 106 North Albany. And he brought me there, and there was this ugly little pink building. And that was the Tampa Sportatorium, and I was fucking loved. From that very moment, I knew it. I knew I had to get in there. I had to be part of this. And after being here for a short time, I found this show on public access, hosted by one of our late friends, Shannon Rose. And all of a sudden, this whole new world opened up to me, independent professional wrestling. I only knew about the AWA, the NWA, WWF, Southwest Red. All of a sudden, what's this? And I would see local guys on there like Jimmy Backlund, Mark Starr, Jim the Animal Steele, Paul Sampson. That some of you guys have probably never heard of those names, but I see Rick Thames sitting right there, and he came up with a lot of them. And I started getting involved in that show, and that's where I met one of my oldest friends in wrestling, Frankie Reyes. And Frankie took me under his wing and somehow convinced the great Malenko to let me start coming to the training sessions and, let's be honest, get my ass kicked. That's what happened. I got beat up. You know, I'm 5'0". I had no abilities whatsoever, and I weighed probably 130, 140 pounds at the time. But Frankie kept bringing me, and at the same time, I managed to sneak in the back door at the Sportatorium where Jimmy Backlund was training guys like Bucky, Navy SEAL, Bill and Butch, Stormtrooper. Great to see you here today. Now I'm all of a sudden the only guy that's going back and forth between the greatest wrestling training institutions you can have in the area. And then I started getting on the student shows once again because of Frankie. And that was it. I was in the Sportatorium. Got to meet Billy Mack, Cuban and his wife Fantasy. Billy was booking the Sportatorium at the time, and usually it would be 5 matches. And I went from a guy trying to figure a way in the back door to being a guy featured on 3 or 5 matches on most weeks, to the point they even turned Cube, babyface, to feud against me in my stable, and it was just so cool, and it's memories that I'll never forget. And Cuban did everything he could to elevate me in the process. And it was cool because every summer I would go home on leave because I was active duty Air Force at the time still. Well, when it was time for me to be gone for 2 or 3 weeks, Cuban would take the pleasure of beating me to a pulp where I had to vanish for a few weeks, and that's where we would be. I've got so many memories like that. I ran the road with the Southern Posse. Rick is here, Sonny couldn't make it today, but man, did we have good times. And I started learning what it was like where they treated it like a business and they were in it to make money. I was in it just, I wanted to be part of it, pay my dues, and I wanted to party, which I did a lot. A real lot. Some would say too much. But I wouldn't trade those times for anything. And one day, one of my best friends, Mike Peskin, who used to work as Mike Incognito, had approached me about taking over the book in IPW, which he had ran in northeastern Florida several years, and basically handed it over to me. He didn't sell me anything. He says, here's the keys to the kingdom, and I was off and running. And Jet Jaguar, the Shane brothers, Tony Mamalu, Chad Collier, all in one class at Malenko School of Wrestling, being trained by Jeff Bradley, who, as far as I'm concerned, is still one of the greatest wrestlers to come out of this area that supposedly never made it. The guy's been in more countries than anybody I know. But he also happens to be a psychopath who might be hiding in the hills right now. But that's a story for another time. But I recruited all these guys and brought them in at once, and we instantly changed the landscape of wrestling in Florida. And then shortly after that, my good friend Sal, who also was my worst adversary and enemy that I've ever had in professional wrestling, it was ugly and nasty because we're both competitive. We're very competitive, complete mental cases. But he started running FIP in opposition to my group, and it was as close to a wrestling war as you're going to have at that level, but it created incredible shows. And the fans had opportunities to see talents from all over the world because we were bringing them in to compete with each other. And very, very happy to, just Sunday, Sal was running a show in Ybor with Kaiju Big Battle, which if you're familiar, you know what it is. If not, you probably wouldn't like it. But it's a crazy, insane show. And my son got to make his first appearance on a wrestling show as an extra. He's 16 years old, 6'1" and growing. He obviously didn't get the height from me. The milkman back then was about 6'4". So he had his first appearance on a show. If he's hooked, I hope so, because we got TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd from the WWE, and his wife Natty have a school right over in Wesley Chapel. So if the bug bites him, you got the best training in the world available to him. So not sure this is the torch I want to hand down. I could sit here in front of everybody and say, how bitter and resentful I have been for not getting opportunities that I felt I deserved. But it has never been the way I've been. Anytime that Buck or Steve or the Shane brothers, when they go to Japan or they go to China or anywhere, I was living vicariously through those guys, and I always had a secure job, and I always had a family that tolerated me at all costs, and still do. Every time somebody, I got news from one of my people today that they just got signed to a deal, and I'm very, very proud of them, and I told them exactly what I'm saying here. When they made it, I made it. Okay, they're gonna be stars. Okay. To me, being in front of the 150 people at the Sportatorium, or 150, 200 at the WrestlePlex, that was far more exciting than anything I've ever done in my life. But on the bigger level, again, thanks to Sal, some of my most high-profile things I've done in wrestling was call and evolve with my buddy Lenny Leonard, the best commentator in professional wrestling, period. I would say the best on sign, but he's the best, period. So I was there to make sure that he could breathe every few minutes. I would throw out a line or two, and he might get a drink or catch his breath and go back to talking. But I always say I never made it to the WWE, but I did make it to the WWE Network because Sal decided to get that big crazy ass payoff and slowly evolved to the WWE, and they put the shows on the WWE Network. So I got to show my kids, hey look, your dad is a star. You haven't believed this. You know, I've been telling you forever. For Christ's sake, put me over. I meant it. You know, but I don't want to go on all day. I would like to thank. The old time nerds don't. They have no idea what I'm talking about. I was just about to put you guys over for laying the groundwork for guys like me to come in and have a little tiny taste of it. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you coming here. I appreciate you waiting that long to put the big whoop to pull me out. So that's enough from me. But the Shane brothers are here today. You want to talk about two great guys, two athletes. They were NCAA Division II scholarship tennis players. 6'4", 320-pound animals. They're some of the most athletic wrestlers I ever dealt with. They're two of the classiest guys I've ever dealt with. It looks like their kids are going to be even more successful than they were. But the only thing that held the Shane brothers back was being probably too good guys for this business. But I appreciate you guys recognizing them here. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Hey Ron, I just want to say thank you, and it's just so awesome to know what you've had, and it's a pleasure to honor you. And your name's right here on this big plaque with some of the greatest names ever from the Florida wrestling area. And this will live in perpetuity in one of the museums. And we're proud to present you with this Legends Lunch honorary plaque. It says presented to Ron Niemi for your outstanding support of the wrestling industry, April 29th, 2022. We thank you so much for being here. And congratulations. All right, guys. Hey, Ron, did you, we got the Shane twins here. You guys are looking good, man. How you guys doing? Good. Fabulous, fabulous. Oh, man. These guys are not only good, they're good guys. They got good hearts, and I know I've seen them around. We've all been around the block, and I've happened to land on the block with these guys a couple times. And they're great workers, and they're great guys, and they've ventured off into that. They've done television commercials, they've done all kinds of things, and I don't know who we're going to start out with, Mike or Todd, but we're getting ready to start with one of them. Okay, it's Mike.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out. I appreciate everything what you guys done for me, my brother. I always talk about it. I feel so lucky that I moved to Tampa to go to wrestling school at B. Malenko's because I got to be around the best people in the wrestling business. Thank you guys for setting the groundwork, like Ron said, for us, for guys like me, my brother, Madison. But I want to keep it short. story of how we got to Tampa. I was working in a small town, Tarkio, Missouri, 2,000 people, middle of nowhere, towns in Omaha, and we're like, we just graduated college, and we're trying to save money to get to go to wrestling school. So I wrote a letter to Brad Regans, and I wrote a letter to Niemi. What was your name? Phil Sling? Yeah. So I told my brother, he's in Omaha, I called him and I said, whoever writes me back first, we're going. I don't know, we're going to Minnesota or we're going to Florida. So I get a letter from Phyllis Lee, sends me all her information about being in school, and I told my brother, hey, we're moving. We're going to move to save some money, we're going to move. I got caught in a hailstorm in my car, and my car was trashed. It was got like $5 grand worth of damage. I didn't even get it fixed. I took that $5 grand, drove my piece of shit car to Tampa, showed up at Malenko's. It looked like I parked my car on a golf course. It was all fucked up. And I walked into the school. And there's two other big bodybuilder dudes with me. And I was like, Dean's like, I'm not guaranteeing you a match. I'm not guaranteeing you anything. This is a training facility. When you're ready, you get a tape. And try to make it on your own. And I ran them all my money. And first I go, well, you got a finance plan? And he's like, yeah, $500 a week. I was like, $500 a week? That's a finance plan? So I gave him all my money for my car, my piece of shit car out front of school. And I said, hey, I ain't got no backup, man. Let's fucking do this. So that's how I started wrestling. That's how it happened. Yeah, well, back when we were kids, how we got into wrestling, our grandparents used to watch AWA out of, we grew up in Gillsbury, Illinois, and they used to take us to the shows, all the shows that were run by us and stuff. And, so we always knew, like, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to wrestle. We never knew how to get into the business, Back then, or when I was in college, I actually was reading Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I got a book. I bought a book in the back. It says how to talk about professional wrestling and how it works, and it has some addresses of some camps that were open. And that's where like Dean School's on there and Brad Regans. That's how I ordered that magazine in college, the Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. But yeah, when we got down here, Mike got down here a couple weeks before I did, and the same thing with Dean. I had $2,500 saved up in my retirement plan. Got that, came down to Dean, and I had a check. He goes, how does this work? I said, you help me get a job? He goes, no. Which, he was honest, it was good, And then, it was just like joining the gym, like joining Bull's gym. You come here and work out and train. He goes, you might not have a wrestling match. He goes, you might take a back bump, you'll hate it, but you're not going to get your money back. I said, all right, okay. There's no game plan. There was no second thing. But we came down here to wrestle, like work shitty jobs, and hopefully we can get on a tour in Japan. I kind of like a lot of guys before us. But yeah, we plugged away. We just plugged away, and I drove shitty cars the whole time I was down here, trying to hope to get on a tour and everything. But yeah, I gotta thank the guys from IPW. They're the best guys in the world. I mean, I got to train with Jeff Bradley. I got Rick Thames. I think Jeff and Rick are two of the best guys that I've seen in Florida. Just thanks to a lot of IPW. Especially you guys, I think I probably had the wrong idea of the business. Yeah, the thing about wrestling is I think I had the wrong frame of mind because I want to go and have fun at the shows and hang out. You need to WWE that turns into a business, and you learn it's not a team sport. It's not like you're on your own. You got to really prove yourself. But yeah, man, I got to, just the talent in IPW. I got to thank Ron, Buck. One of my favorite all-time wrestlers, Steve Madison, Mike Sullivan, Deborah Prada. I was privileged. My first match was with the Southern Posse. Thank God they were so patient. Sorry, Rick. But I didn't expect this. It's hard to come up here and talk.
put us in here, right? Thank you guys, thank you very much. Well, you've had the traveled lives, and fortunately you're still young and you've got a long life ahead of you. So, you know, pass that knowledge down, that's what it's all about. But we want to present you guys with these two plaques that the Legends Lunch attendees purchased for you guys. It says, Legends Lunch honoree presented to Mike and Todd Shane, the Shane twins, for your outstanding support of the wrestling industry. I don't know where they got January 28th. Oh, that was because you guys had COVID. Which one had COVID the last time? That's Mike had COVID the last time. That's right. So I'm glad you're doing good now, right? Everybody kicked out. Now you got herd immunity. Amen. Now you got herd immunity. All right, guys. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thanks again. Wow, I thought I saw West Bristol. Guys, we got Cahadas in front of me. Makes me nervous when I see Cahadas in front of me. And Glacier, too. Well, I got backup with Glacier. He's a baby face. Cahadas, he's a heel. All right. How's the food? Food good? Everybody? How's the alcohol? It's okay too.